Too sweet! Hi, welcome to JD Sports. I'm Jared Hood. That's Dwight Garfield. You can find our personal Twitter at the show's Twitter page, which is @_JD Sports. Happy 4th of July, Dwight. It was a lot of fireworks going off in the NBA. Obviously, I think the top story that we have to talk about this week would be Kevin Durant.
Never heard of him.
Second best player in the NBA, behind LeBron James.
So much disrespect for Steph Curry.
Well,
Carry on.
Curry could be argued in that, I guess, but I would take, as good as Curry's the best shooter of all time, we have that conversation all the time, but you know me, I would rather take the overall players, and I think that those two are better. But, anyways, Kevin Durant sat in the Hamptons for like 3 days, got courted, got talked to by Boston, who apparently came strong. They brought Tom Brady with them. I think a Boston Bruin, if I'm not mistaken. They wanted David Ortiz to come, but I think he got caught up in an extra innings game, so he couldn't make it. But he FaceTimed him and texted Durant.
That can I just say real quick how ridiculous that is? What does Tom Brady and David Ortiz have to do? No, David Ortiz had a tweet. It was like, "Sorry, couldn't make it out there, bro. But you already know Boston, the city of champions."
Okay, so you know me. I'm a Sixers fan.
Nothing to do with anything.
I'm a Sixers fan. I cannot stand the Boston Celtics. But I thought about it. If I'm sitting in the room, right, and yes, I know we're talking two different sports. We're talking apples and oranges. But if Danny Ainge is talking to you, who is already, how high up on the list in the NBA elite world, and you have Brad Stevenson, who has been a great coach for Boston the last couple of years, and then you have, probably an owner or two and a couple of rings, maybe a phone call from Larry Bird or whatever they had to do, Kevin McHale. But then you look over and Tom Brady's sitting right there, and he's on the side of saying, "Hey, come up to Boston with us." It's kind of.
I don't really fault Boston for doing that. I just don't.
That's a big card. That's a big card that you can play.
I don't fault Boston for doing that. I just don't see how that attracts me to just go there when we have nothing to do with each other.
As much as I love Tom Brady, and I would be like, "Man, this is awesome that Tom Brady wants me to come hang out with him all the time." If it would have been a little more heavy hitting if David Ortiz was able to walk in that room too, right? Because that's impressive. Now you got a bunch of champions just sitting right in front of you on top of what they want to build. Anyways,
look, I'm a Lakers fan. As much as I hate the Boston Celtics, you mean tell me you could have get more Celtics to come over and talk to you?
I'm sure he could have. I'm sure they could have. But
whatever.
As I told you before, outside of San Antonio, Golden State, and Oklahoma City, I thought it would be a bad decision for him to do because he would be hustling backwards. So I didn't think Boston had any opportunity, any chance as it was. San Antonio courted him, and we talked about this last week. Yes, he ended up at Golden State, right? And we'll talk about how good that roster is going to be, but we both agreed that we thought a big three of Kawhi, Aldridge, and Durant would have just been incredible, and that would have been probably the most fun to watch, or at least with Popovich as their coach, the coolest. We'll get into Pau Gasol being there. That would just added a whole nother element level to it, but.
My boy.
Yeah, well, we both like Pau. This is going to be a time for him to shine. We'll talk about that. But it would have been interesting to see him do that. And that they were already in talks with Pau, so they definitely would have been telling him, hey, Pau's going to be coming over. That would have been an impressive four to watch, especially under Popovich.
Man, that's another 10 years.
Oklahoma City walks in kind of like the ex-girlfriend. Now, they had the last talks with Kevin Durant, and honestly, we just talked about how impressive San Antonio would have been, right? We both know how impressive this Golden State situation is going to be, but part of me still thinks that they walk in there with one of the most impressive pitches and lineups because outside of, yes, it probably is miserable to live in Oklahoma City, and he's done it since he was, 20 years old?
Yeah.
Until 27. When you're that age and you're a superstar, sometimes you want to go to, a better city even, and as much as he might love the fans and the organization and the way everything is played out and Russ, sometimes you just want to go party after a game or, and Oklahoma City might not be that kind of spot. So I'm sure that had to kind of factor into it, but they still come in with, they just made a trade. They tried to do everything they possibly could to show him, hey, we want to make this run, especially with you this year. We know that Russ is going to be a free agent at the end of the year. Chances are he's probably not going to sign. We know that, he didn't want to go through the second time. That was reported from a couple people from ESPN, so I guess that's probably why he picked a different destination. But at the same time, it was only a 2-year deal, so I'm pretty sure he gets to opt out even if he wants to after 1 year. The money would have been with Oklahoma City to make the same deal, and I honestly think that it would have been worth giving another shot. But I don't blame him for what he did. I'll let you chime in on that, and then we'll kind of go about it.
Well, I My immediate reaction was laughter when I first heard that
he was going to Oklahoma City, or that he was going to Golden State.
Yeah, because to me it's absolutely hilarious. And I mean, Stephen A. Smith called it weak. I call it soft. It's just a soft move in my opinion.
See, I don't look at it that way.
That's fine. I mean, money apparently doesn't mean anything, which is all fine and dandy. But the big thing, which is exactly what Stephen A. Smith said, and exactly what I'm going to say, is you just were up 3-1.
Yeah.
And then you lose to the same team, and then you go and run to that. That's exactly what he did.
Yeah.
He did the LeBron. He ran to another team, except this one's obviously more stacked, blah, blah, blah. Fine. But what's even worse about the situation is that you're leaving a team that was just one game removed from the finals.
And they got better this offseason.
And now you're running towards the team that just beat you. It just looks soft to me, and I don't understand that mindset. I don't understand it. Yeah, they're stacked, and now obviously with you, they're just that much better. But
let me put it to you
that's
this way.
just weak. It's soft.
Try to look at it from this angle. Everyone kind of gets at him because they say he hasn't won the big one, so you're not a winner. This, that, and the next thing. Do you try to make it one more run with Oklahoma City and possibly come up short to this team that you obviously went to, or do you try to, if you can see multiple championships in your future with this team, why wouldn't you want to start that right now? Everybody, he wants to be looked at as a winner at the end of the day, probably. He wants to raise that trophy. Right. He probably wants to do it multiple times. He looks at Oklahoma City like we struggle. Yes, we might have a one-year run here, but at the same time, if Westbrook's leaving at the end of this year, why am I going to stick around, and why am I going to court to them for 1 year when I can start a situation, a better situation, on the court, off the court, and for his championship destiny? It's an easier job. It's a better job. It's probably a more fun job in a better location.
And I'm not disagreeing with anything that you just said. It just doesn't look good from you as a man and you standing on your own, so to speak. But you could have gone anywhere in the league, and you chose to go to the team that just beat you down after you were up 3-1. That's pretty disgusting, frankly.
But you have Steph Curry.
It's a better situation. It's a better team. It's a better job. It's better. It's not better money, but it's better in everything. The system, all that. That's cute.
Yeah. Better for your body. Better for your long-term career.
Okay, so buy in for a year, and then see what happens next year. The fact if it's a year later and it's a circumstance where Golden State, you don't even face Golden State in the playoffs.
Yeah.
Then that's fine. It's the fact that they just beat you and now you're going to that doesn't make any sense to me. It's stupid. What if Allen Iverson dipped out on the Sixers and came to the Lakers the next year after we beat them down in the finals? That looks ugly as hell.
Obviously, I wouldn't have liked it as a fan, but at the same time,
that looks horrible.
Would you rather be Robert Horry or Charles Barkley? I mean, that's the big ultimatum here. Would you rather be the guy, or would you rather be the guy with a bunch of rings? And honestly, I think athletes at the end of the day, and we knock them as fans for not always going for the win. We knock them for going for the money. Here's a situation where he put himself in the situation to go get a ring, and it's just like I was saying with LeBron. Now, I do think there's obviously, and I'm not going to go into him and try to sit here and just knock KD. There's a billion differences between what LeBron did and what he did.
Definitely.
But
good and bad, yeah.
At the end of the day, they both did it to go try to win championships, and they both saw dynasties. They both saw multiple championships in their future with those situations. I think that Kevin Durant sat there and thought, if I could win 2, 3, 4, not 4, not 5, not 6, you know what I mean? Look at that lineup. No, but do you understand what I'm saying? That lineup's incredible, and they're still a deep bench. I mean, yes, they got rid of Diaw. I mean, they just traded for Boris Diaw. Yes, they got rid of Bogut, and Harrison Barnes is gone. But, I mean, you just replaced Harrison Barnes with a much better version of Harrison Barnes. So,
right, yeah, definitely.
I can't blame him for doing what he did, and I don't blame Golden State for doing what they did because he's the second best player in the league. If you have an opportunity to go get him, he's a transcendent player. You can literally, if say Steph's health falls off, or say Steph and them can't come to a good contract agreement, you have the ultimatum of saying, well, we do have that guy, the guy that can be the face of our franchise, and it turns into leverage from both ends.
It just gets ugly.
It gets very ugly, but Steph texted him, which I thought was, and again, I put myself in Kevin Durant's shoes by trying to say all this, because you're sitting there, right, and you have Andre Iguodala, you have Draymond Green, you have Clay, and you have Steph sitting there in front of you. You have Steve Kerr, and Jerry West calls you on the phone. I mean,
there's a factor right there.
But that is a hard thing to sit there and be like, we can win championships on championships on championships. You're looking at these guys like, I'm the elite player. I'm going to be the best player with them, and yet they are all elite players. You don't think he's the best player out of all of them?
I don't know. I don't really care.
I think he's the best player out of all of them.
Face just because.
But my point is, I mean, that's the thing is he's looking at them like they are all elite players, and he's apparently really good friends with Andre Iguodala on top of it, so that probably factors into it because we know these NBA players want to go play with their friends. So I put myself in his shoes though. Wouldn't you want to go have a better job in a better city with your friends where you could do a lot more things? And what's more rewarding?
Yes, I would. But at the same time, and this is why I partially hate Twitter like I do.
Yeah.
But because obviously his history of when he
you're talking about what he did 2 years ago, 4 years
several
ago.
years ago, and all the tweets he's done over time,
yes,
which contradicts everything that he just did. It looks stupid.
But that's what
and now he's going back.
You're politicking in those positions.
Now he's
being
going
selfish.
Now he's going back on everything that he stood for as a man, and now he's being exactly what he complained everybody else is doing. So you just look soft. You look weak.
Well, I got in this conversation.
You look like everybody else that you were talking smack on.
I got into the conversation earlier. What's more rewarding? Would it be losing with Oklahoma City again, or winning a championship with Golden State?
Look, obviously you would rather win a championship with Golden State. I'm not saying that he should have stayed with OKC. I'm saying go somewhere else. Go to San Antonio. I get it. Go to New York. Go to Philadelphia.
Why would it have been okay if he went to San Antonio and not Golden State? Because they just make themselves into an absolutely ridiculous.
Because San Antonio didn't just beat you down after you were up 3-1. It looks disgusting.
And I know you just said about go to Philadelphia or go wherever, go somewhere else.
Anywhere.
No, but why would you want to go to New York? That's hustling backwards. You were on a top 4 team.
Okay, well then go to San Antonio. Or go to Miami.
No,
those teams, neither one of those teams just embarrassed you.
I understand that. I get that. I get that aspect of it.
And that's what it looks like. It's like we're kids and we're on a schoolyard and
my team is playing pickup football against your team and your team beats me and
we smack you down and you're just like, yo, can I join?
Well, no.
And we're like, yeah, come on over. Yeah, you're the best of the crap.
It's like you're looking over and there's some kids that want to play and one of your players got to go home because it's dinner time and I'm like, hey, they need somebody, so I'll go over with y'all.
Yeah, you're kind of better than he is.
Yeah. So and then we put him on the other team and then
that's weak. That looks weak. It makes you look weak for doing that, and it makes Kevin Durant look weak, soft.
We've never seen a player do this, but I know what you're saying that it makes him look like this, but at the same time, as I said, if you put yourself in his shoes, looking at it like that, and
I don't know how. Look,
and the other aspect of it, can you imagine how historical this can be? I mean, this is the best group of talent in the history of the NBA to ever step on the court. 5 players all together. That doesn't mean it's going to work. That doesn't mean they're going to win 75 games next year. That doesn't even mean they're going to make it to the finals or win the finals. But as of right now, we've never seen a talent like this ever in the history of the NBA. And for me, if you have a chance to be part of that, why wouldn't you want to be?
I don't disagree, and they definitely are. I mean, without question, the starting 5 is probably the most talented team in the history of the league. I mean, you keep saying put yourself in KD's shoes. Part of me gets that. Part of me gets it from the perspective is that if I had the same mindset that I have, which is, being my own type of man, I don't know if I would want to be a KD and just go and just run, especially to a team that just beat me. No, I would want to be that person that says, you know what, I can go make this money. I'll bring somebody to me. I'll build here, bring people to me. Like, if I have the same mindset that I have now, which is the stubborn person that always wants to prove themselves, then that's what I'm going to do. I'm not going to do what Kevin Durant does. In a sense, I get it, but I think he did it the wrong way, and I think you go somewhere else. Skip a year and then go to Golden State. Then it looks a little better, at least.
Because Westbrook's leaving at the same time?
No, because if Golden State doesn't beat you down next year,
but you give it this many chances, and chances are Golden State would probably be the one to beat you down next year. But
maybe not.
It's hard for me to also sit here. He got a text from Steph Curry that night, and it was, if you win the MVP, I'll be the one in the front row clapping. I don't care about who sells more shoes. I don't care about who's the face of the franchise. All I want to do is win titles and dynasties.
It makes sense. It makes sense.
I
don't hate on that.
Right. And I know you understand that, especially from the sports side of it, because you always compare LeBron to championships. You know what I mean? You have to win a championship. So now here these guys are, and we always knock our athletes for taking money over championships. And now we have a guy who literally did that, and I'm seeing more backlash that he did that.
I'm seeing more people go for the championships.
Well, that's good. That's good. That makes me happy. That makes me happy. I didn't like that. Stephen A. said it was the weakest move we've ever seen by an athlete because I'm not. There's so many.
I'd say it's
if you're talking move team to team, I guess, but like there's so many cheap things that happen throughout a day in sports that I think it's just, what I mean? Like Kevin Durant didn't even touch the levels of uncompetitiveness that happens in tennis today. So.
I just look at it more. I think it's deeper than sports. I think it's more like his integrity and his character as a man. I think honestly comes more into question where
it's
I say where that's kind of weak.
But it's hard for me to say. Like Stephen A. took it to the level. He said it was the weakest movie he's ever seen as an athlete, from an athlete. I mean that's a personal attack on his, like you just said, his manhood on that. But I mean at the end of the day. I apologize, Stephen A., but like, how many rings do you got? Like, you know what I mean?
Right.
And how is this going to help you get rings? Like, as an NBA fan, I am on the side of being outraged and angry and upset, and I wanted to see him make one more run with Westbrook, and I wanted to see him do it with this with this Oklahoma City team because they just made moves, unlike Cleveland ever did for LeBron. I thought that was the difference in this. They made moves. They wanted to make this work, and they wanted him to be, the MVP again, and they wanted him to go win the Finals MVP and be everything, and then he stays, obviously. I think him and Westbrook both probably stay if they could muster up a championship this year. But,
that's what's ugly. You were one game away from at least being in the conversation. Will they beating Cleveland? Who knows? Probably not, but maybe. The way that team was rolling until when they were up 3-1, was anybody arguing that they weren't a threat?
To see how good Kyrie played in those last 3 games, that would have been fun to see Westbrook and Kyrie go at it in that sense, right? I mean, that would have been awesome. And then you have Durant and basically LeBron. I mean, it would have been very, very fun.
Heck of a battle.
I agree with you. It would have been probably as fun as Golden State versus Cleveland. Oklahoma City's future, I mean...
It's about as soft as that the shit was.
It turned really bleak. Unfortunately, and you said it about the Sixers, and the Sixers mustered up a couple of, not even a couple. They mustered up a season where they were 1 win away from the Eastern Conference Finals, where they would have gotten absolutely obliterated by the Heat. But after Allen Iverson left, it was very tumultuous for a very long time. And outside of those 3-year peaks where they made the playoffs and they were moving forward, it hasn't been good. I unfortunately think that once Westbrook's gone, Oklahoma City's going to fall into that, and it's going to be even worse because, yes, as we're going to talk about here in a little bit, the salary cap is going to explode, make it easier to be more competitive. At the same time, Oklahoma City is not a destination that players really necessarily want to go. Philadelphia has a bad reputation, so players, free agency, never really wanted to go there. Oklahoma City is just not a place that people are really excited to go sign and live in if you have the option of LA or New York, obviously.
I mean, maybe Westbrook can change that. I don't know what...
I mean, they're already talking about that. He's basically informed them he's not going to come back next year.
It won't surprise me.
If it's going to make their team better.
It's not going to surprise me. I mean, if he would commit and if he would stay...
Yes.
More proud to him. They can get people to come to you. I don't know, but is it going to be a Melo situation where nobody comes to you? Is that the organization? Is that Melo? I don't know. I think it's a combination of both. But can Westbrook change that in Oklahoma City and just be like, you know what? Forget Golden State, forget Cleveland, forget those guys that are there. Come join me and we can take them out.
Yeah.
I think he does have that alpha killer mindset
I think he has
to do just that.
I think he has it for 1 year for Oklahoma City and then he's going to take it somewhere else. Or if they trade him, I think he's going to want to go to a competitor right now to take that.
So,
you know where I think he should go? And I mean, I'll be the first one. I just want to put this out there right now.
Where's that?
San Antonio needs a point guard.
They're going to need one.
Go do it. Go do it. Go tell him, hey, you know what? You want to do this? Let me do this.
That's disgusting.
That would be so fun to watch for for those top teams.
That's disgusting. I don't know. I mean, if I'm Oklahoma City, as much as I want to say that they need to trade him, I don't know who would be in that mindset of, you know what, let's give up this, and all of this to just give up the unknown. Because, I mean, as a Lakers fan, I'm saying D'Angelo, the guy we just drafted, was it Simmons?
No, Simmons came.
The other guy.
I'm picturing his face right now.
Whatever. Give away Ingram.
No. See, I wouldn't be trading all these players.
Yeah.
For
I would definitely. I mean,
and even as
I'm speaking on both sides of my mouth. I'm saying that I don't think that it's smart for anybody to do that. But if I am the Lakers, I might just be like, you know what? If I think that Westbrook will want to stay with us, and if he's even if he's completely slightly remotely thinking about it, give up everything that you can and then convince him to stay. I don't know if it's going to work.
My biggest thing is if you give up all those pieces and then you get him, then this year it turns into be a really bad disaster, and he ends up because look, even in Oklahoma City, he might average a triple-double, but it doesn't mean they're gonna have a winning record. He had some pretty while he had some great games when Durant was hurt, their record was not good at all when he was their centerpiece. So he needs something around him and people around him. Obviously, everybody does in the NBA.
Draw somebody towards you.
But my thing is, if it goes so bad that you end up being another bottom-feeding team and he's on it, he might not want to stay. That's a gamble. It's a huge gamble because then you're giving away everything for 1 year. It's kind of why I don't want the Sixers to do it, because I would love Russell Westbrook. I think he would be fantastic for every team. But I just don't know if you want to give up a bunch of assets for a player that might not stay for longer than a year, and especially if he comes to Philly, he obviously that wouldn't be something that I think he'd be open to be trading to this year. Obviously, I think that would be something he'd have to come to his own conclusion on. As a free agent, I think he would have to make that kind of decision, but they would have to prove that they're going in the right direction for him to do that. Anyway,
I think Oklahoma's definitely going to try to trade him. I just don't know.
I think they have to.
Yeah, definitely. I just don't know who or what is going to be given up for him, because there's no guarantee. And even though I'm telling the Lakers to do that in a sense, I also understand, is it going to be a Dwight Howard situation where he comes for a year or a half a year and he just dips? That's not a good look for the Lakers either. It's not a good look for any team in the league.
The upside is Oklahoma City has been a well-run organization. They've always been able to trade and draft well. So those are big pieces when you're not able to get free agents. You need to be able to trade and draft well, and I think that they'll be able to make a run. I don't know if they'll be able to get back to the consistency that they are right now. They were a top 3 team in the league 2 days ago, and now it seems like they're right in the middle with everybody else. And
that's what's crazy, dude. When you think about it, they had Harden, they had Durant, and they have for the moment Westbrook.
I mean,
and
you even
in
have
theory,
guys like Kevin Martin,
they're gonna be all gone.
And you know what I mean?
And it's all gone. And who's
Luis
coming in?
Scola was there for a little bit. Do you remember all that? I mean, they had
a solid unit.
Rosters, yes.
Yeah. And now they virtually have absolutely nothing. So if I'm OKC, I'm shopping the market.
Yeah, it's hard to.
Sucks.
We could probably go all day about Golden State, Oklahoma City, and Kevin Durant, but the rest of the league had a pretty big weekend as well. Even guys like Matthew Dellavedova just got paid under $10 million. Guys that you're not really used to seeing get big money because the salary cap opened as much as it did this year, ended up getting a lot. Dirk got his contract. I think it's 2 years, $40 million. Harrison Barnes signed a max deal. He went to the Mavericks. Bogut got traded to the Mavericks, so they're going to be starting Steph Curry's little brother. So they're going to have a Curry, they're going to have a Bogut, and they're going to have a Harrison Barnes as their on their starting court. It sounds a little bit like Golden State, but
Mark Cuban always just hangs around in there. He always has his team.
He's always trying to make his team pretty decent.
They never won the top teams, but they're always in the conversation of
as a Sixers
playoff
fan.
team.
As a Sixers fan, they were saying that Harrison Barnes and the Sixers were kind of eyeing each other up. I was glad that didn't happen because I don't think that Harrison Barnes, especially and I know he was injured, but the last couple months of the season, I don't think he was worth what you're going to have to pay him, and I knew that you have to pay him that much. Right. So as a Sixers fan, I was glad that it didn't work out for them.
The only thing that kind of worries me about that situation in Dallas is that it reminds me too much of the Jarrett Jack situation, just because he was such a great scorer and he just so happened to play for Golden State.
Right.
But then it just kind of fizzled out and it didn't do anything. Then he left. And
he didn't look all that good throughout the playoffs, especially in the finals.
Especially
in those last 3 games.
Yeah, that's what I'm worried about with Barnes. I'm worried that it's just going to be a Jarrett Jack situation where it just kind of fizzles out, then he just goes away, and nothing really came out of it.
Yeah. Speaking of another Texas team, San Antonio signed Pau Gasol, so they're going to
have.
I love it too.
Smart.
This is going to be Pau Gasol's time to show that what was happening in Chicago, he was still doing his thing just like he was in LA. I think he's going to show it. I think he's going to have LaMarcus Aldridge. Him and Kawhi is just going to be. They're going to be fun to watch together. Tim Duncan's leaning towards retirement, which is sad, but
I don't know. I don't know if he leaves or not. Part of me. People seem to forget and have short-term memory or something, because they seem to forget that Tim Duncan had a decent regular season. It was the playoffs where he just kind of just fell off. And now if he's in a situation where you get Pau Gasol, who is still a human double-double and still one of the most underrated power forwards in the league, and I'm glad he's going to San Antonio for a potential ring. I mean, now if I'm Tim Duncan, do I consider coming back? If you do, you're probably riding the bench, but I mean, you get the swan song thing like Kobe, and you get less minutes.
Yep.
Hold you off into the
He
playoffs.
set 20-plus games last year anyways. He can do that again.
Why not do that?
Try not to set 30 next year. Why not?
I wouldn't be mad at that. You got Aldridge, you got Gasol, 2 young guns that can, do the double-double thing, and you can get switched in here and there. Yeah. It's smart.
Why wouldn't you?
It's a great pickup, and it's a good fit for Gasol.
Yeah, well, I completely agree. Dwayne Wade is apparently shopping himself around. He was talking to what I think you said to me earlier, Milwaukee.
Which is weird.
He is apparently scheduling a meeting with Cleveland. I know the Knicks were kind of talking to him. I think that, and I said it a couple times, if Dwayne Wade really wants to get the Heat to just fork over that money and do it as fast as possible, all he has to do is threaten to go talk to Cleveland, which he did. And so I'm thinking that in the next couple of days, the Miami Heat will just give him a lot of money and however many years he wanted, so this doesn't happen. But as a LeBron fan, I wouldn't mind seeing Dwayne Wade over there in Cleveland. That would be awesome.
I would throw up, but
he needs to stay with the Heat. He needs to stay with the Heat. As an NBA fan, I want him to stay with the Heat. I want the Heat to figure it out.
Finish your career there.
Both sides need to figure that out.
Pat Riley, stop being cheap.
Yes.
This is the man that has been there, been through it all, been through the good, the bad, the great, the shit.
He is your franchise.
He's never been the highest paid player
on your team. Ever in one season.
That's disgusting. Pay the man.
Don't even pay him the highest because you're still going to have all these other guys getting paid higher.
Did he not just ball out in the playoffs?
Yeah, he played extremely well. He carried them. He was vintage D-Wade.
Pay this man.
Yeah.
Get somebody to help him. Get somebody to come help him because you lost Luol Deng and you haven't gotten anybody else really.
Right.
Get this man some help, pay him, and just keep going with it. Why not? Don't let him walk. It's not good luck for Pat Riley. If he walks, then
it'll be interesting to see Miami. Or it would be interesting to see Miami without D-Wade, and it would be interesting to see a D-Wade without Miami. So
I don't want to see that.
I don't either. I want to see them together. I want to see that three. I want to see Flash making one more run at it.
Don't pull Durant and run towards the competition. Don't do that.
LeBron's still a free agent. Nobody's really talking about that. I know, it's just assumed that he's going to go back to Cleveland, but
that's what he said.
He's still a free agent.
That's what he claimed.
Boris Diaw got traded to the Warriors. So they have now Kevin Durant, Boris Diaw, Maurice Spates, I think.
I think he's still there.
Signed a contract with him, a 1-year deal with him, league minimum. And then apparently Ray Allen has been taking phone calls from Golden State. Now, it might have just be see how they're doing, what's up, how's the weather,
how you doing?
Yeah, what's up, yeah.
Did you join your vacay, Ray Allen?
Yeah. Did you, tough loss at the end of the year. Hopefully you guys get some golf in.
I don't
right, things like that. Or do you think he's talking about coming back?
He might be talking about coming back. Look, I don't fault them if they're talking to him.
Whew.
I don't fault that.
League minimum.
He's not going to have to do anything, really. He's going to be
12 to 15 minutes a game.
He's going to be two things, either garbage time or a decoy.
3 minutes a quarter. I'd throw him in there. 3 minutes a quarter. That's it. That's all I'd give Ray Allen.
You want to talk about chasing rings? Just go and do it.
Yeah,
whatever.
Absolutely. He should. That would be so fun to watch, to see him. 3 minutes a quarter. I would try to see if he could get me 4 threes every quarter.
Yeah, definitely.
Because he'd be wide open. He would be wide open.
That's.
Who's covering Ray Allen?
Fair.
Who's covering Ray Allen in this now? Because
who says that? Who's covering Ray Allen?
Who's covering Ray Allen? Because everyone else, you got to cover everybody else. You got to double team four other guys. You got to double team them somehow.
That's
all
horrible.
4 of them. Then there's Ray Allen in the corner.
That's disgusting.
I can't wait. I hope just because of how historical this is and how ridiculous this is, and everybody hates it, and the parity of the league is coming. It is coming. It might be a couple years from now, but it will be coming because of the salary cap thing. So why not? Let's watch it for a couple years. Everybody, not to call out Mike Greenberg of ESPN, but I was listening to Mike and Mike the day after the Kevin Durant signing, and he was getting pretty angry about how everyone's getting all this money and how the league isn't parity and this, that, and the next thing. And the best way I can put it is the NFL did an uncapped year and off-season 1 year, and they basically told the teams just don't go bananas, don't just overpay everything, right? So what they did was, for that 1 year, it stretched everything out, and the richest team got richer, but at the same time, what it did was it snaps everything back in the next 2 or 3 years, where everybody has to now hit a base salary for the rest of you can only be in the NBA, it's a little tighter. In the NFL, I think it's $25 million. You can't be the max salary, you can't be under $25 million under the max salary. Your minimum salary is $25 million under the max. You know what I'm saying? So in the NBA, it's only 10. Now, in the NFL, if you don't get it, you just pay a luxury tax. It's the luxury tax the opposite way. The luxury tax is if you overpay and go over the league maximum, but it's like a fake luxury tax where it's if you don't hit the league minimum in the NFL, you just have to pay it off, right? You just have to pay the difference to the NFL. Well, in the NBA, they made it where if you don't hit the league minimum, you have to pay it off, but into all of your players' salary, you have to divide it evenly into all of your players' salary. So a couple teams actually did that, which I think is a smarter move instead of going out and overpaying Matthew Dellavedova just to eat up salary because you have to eat so much salary up. But at the same time, as of right now, yes, it looks bad. But in 3 years, look how much parity there is in the NFL right now. I mean, the Houston Texans and the Green Bay Packers are as good as, better than the Miami Dolphins and better than the San Francisco 49ers and you know, as good as the Dallas Cowboys. You know what I'm saying? And those are the teams that are making the most money or whatever in the league. So you look at it in that sense where, yes, for a year or two it's going to be odd to watch, but you have LeBron James at the top, and the NBA already didn't have any parity, so it makes sense for them to try to snap this back in a certain way. And I know Adam Silver didn't want it, and I know the league didn't really want it, but the Players Association wanted it, and it will work in the favor because now everybody in 4 or 5 years, it's not just going to be Matthew Dellavedova getting overpaid, it's going to be everybody getting overpaid, just like they do in the NFL.
Definitely. Everybody's going to get overpaid. Everybody freaking out about Dellavedova and, you know,
the dude from the Nets, I don't even know his name, John Harrison or something like that. Yeah, exactly. I mean, exactly. But these guys are getting $12, $13, $14 million.
And Mozgov, and you know.
Mozgov is that.
Everybody freaking out about that just needs to relax and understand that the stars are obviously going to get more.
LeBron's going to get the
then
most
you're going to have a real
money
reason to complain.
LeBron's going to have the most money in league history next year, and Steph's not going to be too far behind him. And then the year after that, Durant won't be too far behind him, and they're on the same team, but they're going to have the money to do that.
And everybody complain about money, you're going to have a real reason to complain. When they get their money, look at these people that with no names, as everybody's saying, getting their money. Wait until these stars in the next couple of years get their money.
And not just you, but this is going to be a good way to prove this point. Do you know who the highest paid player in the NBA right now is?
Mike Conley.
Andre Drummond.
I thought it was Michael Conley. He just signed a
He might have signed it bigger than Andre Drummond, but that's my point. Is that those two players are now the two highest players in the NBA.
Yeah, Mike Conley just had the highest. Michael Conley of the Memphis Grizzlies.
So you don't think LeBron James is going to sign a bigger contract next year?
No.
Yeah, exactly.
Not at all.
We both agree.
Stupid. It's ridiculous. Speaking of Golden State real quick.
Yeah.
It was David West that they just picked up.
Yeah, that's right. David West.
David West. It was funny because I was like, when they got Kevin Durant, I was like, okay, that doesn't solve the big situation. I feel like nobody's been talking about this because I'm like, did y'all not see this playoff run where they were giving up offensive rebound? Russell Westbrook is getting offensive rebound.
Right.
And I was like, okay, Kevin Durant, yeah, he's long and lengthy and all that, but he's not really going to solve that. Then you get David West, who's basically, that kind of solves that. He basically fills, he had like similar numbers to Bogut last season.
Right.
He actually had the highest field goal percentage of his career last year, which is interesting. But he can give you 7-8 rebounds a game. It's not great, but I mean, he fills Bogut's role at least, so.
They're going to be impressive.
Yeah.
They're going to be ridiculously impressive.
Doesn't make any sense.
Moving on from the NBA, speaking of salary cap and players getting a ridiculous amount of money, Andrew Luck got $135 million, $87 million guaranteed, $47 as a signing bonus. All three of those numbers are records in the history of a contract in the NFL. And there was a lot of big, unfortunate backlash. And not to put this all over here for a second because I want you to chime in because I feel like you might feel the same way as I do. But the backlash that I was hearing about how he doesn't deserve it or he's getting overpaid or that's overrated, and the arguments that I've honestly gotten in over the last 2 or 3 years at bars or whatever, at work or whatever, over Andrew Luck, people just don't see it. I mean, he went 11-5 his first 3 years in the league. He went to the first round of the playoffs, lost to the Ravens. Second round of the playoffs, I forget who he lost to, and then he went to the AFC Championship and lost to the Patriots in Deflategate. And the year after, he had a lacerated kidney and a torn shoulder, so he didn't really, perform as well. Other than that, though, he was 11-5 his first 3 years. He has more wins than Peyton Manning did throughout those years. He has more playoff wins than Peyton Manning did throughout those years. He has more touchdowns than Peyton Manning did throughout those years, and less interceptions. So if you're the Colts, why would you not sign him to the biggest contract in the history of the NFL? Because I've been really confused on why there's been so much backlash. Because he is, look, I know you hate this game. I know you hate this game. I know you hate this. Who's the best quarterback? And
this is the backlash. This is the backlash.
Here's my thing.
Everybody's put this man on.
If you had a redraft,
they feel like he hasn't deserved it. And he, in theory, when you look at the greats of all time, he doesn't deserve to be in that conversation.
He's 11-5, 11-5, 11-5. better in the playoffs, better in the playoffs, better in the playoffs. With what team? Name an offensive player around him. Name a defensive player on that team, actually. I'll give you Trent Cole because he's an ex-Eagle. But, I mean, seriously, name...
Andre Johnson, Frank Gore. I was named the last two.
and how productive...
And I thought that was a great pickup at that time.
I don't disagree with that, but my point is they weren't really productive, and look at how good he still was over these years. He was injured, and he still had a pretty decent year this year.
Look. Where I agree with you, it's the Tony Romo effect, where I tell people, "We'll get rid." They say get rid of Tony Romo. Okay, and get who? Get what? For who? For how much?
But I think this is a step above that because you have a guy who is literally a top 5 quarterback in the league. Name 5 quarterbacks.
I won't necessarily disagree with you in that sense. What I'm saying is that the backlash is the fact that everybody wanted to say, well, he's Canton bound when he was a rookie, and it was just like pump the brakes. I think that's the backlash. Right now, today, do I think that it was wrong for him to sign Max deal or whatever? No, not at all. I think that was the only move that they could make because who are you going for? And he is a very good quarterback. Yeah. But again, like I said, the backlash is more so the historical perspective that he hasn't earned.
But I think
it's too early in his career to be talking about all that.
But I think he has. I mean, I just told you all those numbers, and that's.
Okay, so is he deserving in the Hall of Fame right now today?
Deserving in the Hall of Fame? No, if he retired, obviously not, because he's only 4 years into his career.
My point. It's too early. Yeah, he's had a great run up until this point, but
you're not paying players for what they're going to finish their career. You're paying players for what they can do for you today, and he can do more for you than anybody else in the league.
Dude, I agree with you. I'm saying that they did the right thing, but I'm telling you what the backlash is, and that's the fact that people are already saying he belongs in Canton. That's the backlash. I don't think it's a backlash.
If you had a
if people are having a backlash about the fact that he just made his money in the Colts, pretty much just gave it to him because they have nowhere else to go, then that's just ridiculous. Because again, who are you going to?
If you had a redraft,
everybody always says get rid of a quarterback, but they never say who to go to.
Right. But I don't think that anybody.
That doesn't make any sense.
Nobody be in their right mind to say to get rid of Andrew Luck.
No.
If you had a redraft right now, he would definitely be a top 3 pick. I mean, he would. In quarterback wise, he might be the number 1 or number 2 off the board because if you're looking long term, he's the guy. I mean, he's definitely probably the most skill set. You got Cam and probably Winston and Mariota and all those guys, but I think Russell Wilson. But I think Andrew Luck probably is the number 1 pick overall in that sense. So I think he deserves it. I'm excited to see what he does in the future. I hope that he comes back healthy. I've always been an Andrew Luck fan. I love watching him play. He's a bull. I mean, he plays like a linebacker, but he's a quarterback, and he needs to stop trying to run people over. But I've been saying that about Cam Newton as well. Neither of them listen to me. Neither of them still both of them still doing really well, except Andrew Luck did get hurt last year, so maybe it is time to try to be more of a pocket passer, but he's a good pocket passer, so I think it will work.
Here's the thing. People don't seem to understand how the money system in these sports work.
Yeah, I understand.
And it's all sports. We were just talking about the NBA. Right. But we'll stick to the NFL. Okay, let's say I'm a great quarterback. I'm Tom Brady, right? Yeah. And you're a young Andrew Luck. Yeah. And let's say you're making more money than me. Yeah. People are like, well, that doesn't make sense. That's BS. How can that be? That's stupid. Okay, well, obviously, as the years go on in the NFL, you're going to make more money, and you're just going to get more money. This is why every year we're talking about, okay, we have the highest paid player, highest paid position. This happens every single year. It's just going to continue. It's just what it is. Jordan made what? They said he made like $60 million in 2 years, and Michael Conley just made 30-some million.
Yeah, I mean the salary cap was so much smaller back then. But
it's going to grow. It's going to evolve. So I mean, people need to take a step back when they make those type of comparisons because it's not fair. It doesn't make sense. It's stupid.
And because I like the money aspect of it so much, and you just compared money like the actual numbers of it, I look at his percentage like on a pie chart of how much salary cap they're taking up. And MJ's salary cap that year, he was taking up like 47% or whatever it was those 2 years. Michael Conley was only taking up like 36%. So like if you really compare the two, it's like, man, that's ridiculous. But at the same time, it's just ridiculous money-wise, but there's more money now than there ever was before, so these numbers are just going to get bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger.
And guess what? 5 years from now, there's going to be another highest-paid player.
It's so good for the league, though, to have more and more money filtering in because now more teams can do more things, and you can overpay a guy like Mike Conley, but you know what? It makes the Grizzlies better to have him than not.
Definitely. It makes the Colts better to have
him than not. Right.
Hello.
So, the last thing I think that we're going to wrap up with is UFC 200. I'm just the most excited for Brock Lesnar. I love Brock Lesnar.
Of course, yeah.
You know I like Brock Lesnar.
Everybody loves Brock Lesnar.
Everybody loves Brock Lesnar.
I think everybody loves Brock Lesnar.
I hope he just goes in there, does his Brock Lesnar-ness, and gets out of there.
You hope he goes 6-3 instead of 5-4.
Yeah.
Is that his Brock Lesnar?
I need some F9s.
I don't think you're gonna be seeing it.
No, we're not gonna see the F9. I know, but I'm excited for that aspect of it. But it's a nice card though, right?
F5 actually.
S5, yeah,
whatever.
F9, F5.
Pick a
It's
number.
been so long.
I don't know. It's a number.
So I mean, other than that though, on the card, what's exciting to look to?
That was actually very stacked. Actually, the main event, Jon Jones versus Dan Cormier.
All right, let me take back the Brock Lesnar. I love Jon Jones actually. So we're in on this.
This is actually the second fight that they had.
Well, I remember watching the first one with you. He played with him the first two or three rounds, and then he just beat him up in the end.
Did we watch this together? This
Yeah,
was
we
over a
watched
year
it.
ago.
No, the Jon Jones was suspended for cocaine.
You're thinking of the fight that just happened a couple months ago with Jon Jones. No, this is the same fight. This is the same matchup.
So he fought this guy a year ago.
Yes, January of last year.
How'd that go?
Yeah, Jon Jones won unanimously.
Is this guy a title? Does he have the title?
It is for a title.
Oh.
Here's the thing. You just mentioned this fight that we watched a couple months ago with Jon Jones, and he looked rusty. He looked a little...
For the first 2 or 3 rounds.
Yeah, he was out of his element because, he was circling the ring, whatever you want to call it. I'm calling it the ring. He was circling the ring the whole time. He was circling the ring the whole time. And Jon Jones was getting frustrated and couldn't, do his game, which is just knock a guy out.
Right.
He was getting frustrated, and he looked kind of rough. I don't think that's going to be the same case. He got that one little rusty match off his chest, and I feel like he's going to be in that attack mode. Does he get this win? Probably. I'm going with Jon Jones. I mean,
I'm rooting for him.
I think everybody's rooting for him. Most people are rooting for him. Everybody likes a good comeback story. Yeah. So, I mean, can't hate it. I hope, if it goes the distance like the first fight did, fantastic. If Jon Jones loses, well, then UFC just benefits from a third match.
Very true.
It doesn't matter.
Very true.
Maisha Tate is also on the card.
So there you go. That's a heavy lineup right there.
Yeah, definitely. Maisha Tate versus Amanda Nunes, which Amanda Nunes, she's actually really good. I've seen a couple of her fights, and she's not a pushover. She's very much like in the Brock Lesnar fight, they got Mark Hunt, and they say Mark isn't a pushover. Nunes isn't a pushover either. Like, she's legitimate. She can brawl with you. And Maisha Tate, I don't think she gets the credit just because, she lost to Ronda Rousey. I get it, but she holds on. She also just beat Holly Holm.
Right.
Maisha Tate, she has a lot to prove. And I think if she beats Nunes in this fight, which I think she's going to, I think it's going to be rather close. That just solidifies her status. Speaking of this women's division, paging Ronda Rousey, where are you at? Where you at? Because I'm kind of withdrawing from this Ronda Rousey situation.
I was gonna ask you where she's been or what she's doing.
It's rough. I hate it. This is UFC's biggest card.
You should.
This is UFC's biggest card in their history because it's the 200th one.
Makes sense.
You would want Maisha Tate versus Ronda Rousey again,
That'd
even though
awesome.
I mean it's kind of been done and played out. But Ronda Rousey sells tickets. If you got Ronda Rousey, Brock Lesnar, and Jon Jones on the card, come on, man.
That's UFC 200 written all over it.
Ronda, paging Ronda. There's an all points bulletin. Where is she at? Somebody find this woman.
Stop being. I don't want to say she's scared.
I don't think she's scared. Look, the girl that Maisha Tate is facing.
Stop avoiding, get back in.
Look, Amanda Nunes, she's been gone for over a year.
Right.
And her last fight was against Ronda Rousey. She was the one that lost in 14 seconds in record time.
Yeah.
This is her first fight since. So,
it's time to step up. Maybe they're trying to build a Rousey fight.
I don't know. Point being, I got Maisha Tate in a close one. We also got Jose Aldo's actually in this fight as well, on the card as well.
So there's a stacked lineup here.
Yeah, Cain Vasquez.
Cain Vasquez, yeah.
I'm probably messing up his name, but he's a legit badass as well.
Right.
The card is relatively solid overall. It's not, it's not all the best matchups out there. I would rather see, Ronda Rousey face Maisha Tate. I would rather see maybe even Holly Holm. I would rather see Aldo face somebody other than Frankie Edgar.
Right.
But it's a solid card.
Maybe Frankie Edgar comes out and surprises? Probably not.
Probably not, but again, it's a situation. UFC isn't as open as closed as most sports are, or even boxing. Like, it's always open because all it takes is one punch and the game's over.
Literally a puncher's chance.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's the UFC is the definition of that. MMA in general is a definition of that. So it's a good card. We also got. I don't even want to mention this broad's name because she's POS, but Kat Zingango. What the hell's her name? Zingango?
She's on the card?
Whatever, Kat. Yeah, the girl that was talking the most smack to Ronda Rousey.
Right. I remember you telling me about this.
We actually watched it together at your old crib.
Yeah.
Kat Zingango, and then she got knocked out after jawing so much at Ronda Rousey.
Yep.
She is also on this card.
Okay, well, there we go. Interesting.
Very interesting. So, it's an interesting card. We're going to be checking it out.
Absolutely.
I'm looking forward to it. I would like to see other people on there, but this is what the card that we got dealt with. You know, McGregor's missing, Rousey's missing, but
McGregor's still trying to fight Mayweather.
McGregor just needs to focus on 203 or 202 or whatever the hell it is and get that out the way.
I agree.
Speaking of Brock Lesnar, I didn't even mention that fight. I think Brock Lesnar needs to get this win.
I agree.
WWE needs him to get this win.
Yeah, that's very true.
They're actually announcing his SummerSlam opponent this Thursday on SmackDown.
That's very interesting.
They're just going to announce it like it's a
of course they are.
Actual fight instead of building like a story.
Of course.
That's weird.
Well, they want to get promotion going into the UFC event for him, and they don't have time for him to come on and build a story.
Remember what I was telling you
They're gonna have to backwards build a story.
Yeah, remember I was telling you that WWE's probably looking at UFC and like, oh, we gave you Brock, can we get Ronda?
Yeah.
Apparently, that's kind of what Vince was going for.
Good.
Vince McMahon was going for.
That would be interesting. That'd be fun. She likes it.
I don't know if it's going to happen or not. You know,
down the road, I think it can.
As much as I like Dana White, I also think he backpedals. He moonwalks out of a lot of shit and his opinions.
Yes, he does.
So in that sense, he's kind of a fraud and a bum for that because he doesn't really stand his ground. He'll make a statement and then he'll get peer pressured into making the reverse decision.
Yep.
So, whereas it would be smart in a sense for him to let Ronda go do that,
right?
It would also be weak because he hates wrestling so much. But then he was the first man to call up Brock Lesnar in WWE and say, "Can you help us out?"
Yeah,
and
we need money.
They were like, "Oh yeah, sure."
200, make it the biggest money ever.
Yeah, you hate wrestling so much, but you call it a fake wrestler and to help your pay-per-view. It looks weak, Dana White.
How good he is.
You look like Kevin Durant, soft. I'm just saying.
Well. So that might be our last JG Sports for the summer. We might be back there in the beginning or even mid-August to start talking football again.
Yeah, definitely.
Unless something big happens like LeBron James, leaving Cleveland or something like that. Outside of that, though, we're just probably going to tweet our opinions or, put them on Facebook or whatever it so happens to be. So definitely find the JD Sports pages. But it's been a fun run here. I can't wait.
First year.
Yeah, I can't wait to get season 2. I guess up and going. So. We'll see how all this shakes out. I think it was a good show.
I think it was a good show. I think it's been a great first year.
Absolutely.
Shout out to everybody that's been following us, liking, commenting.
Shout out to our producer, the guy who put in the most work in out here. I just show up and talk. He does the rest.
I ain't worried about all that, but yeah. Anyway, thanks everybody that watches.
Yes.
Even if it was just a couple minutes, or if you watched the entire shows, we appreciate y'all. We're looking forward towards the future. We got plenty of ideas.
We will be back.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah, this is gonna be an up and running thing. So
the best is yet to come.
Yep, absolutely. So
we'll be back.
Well, that was JD Sports. I'm Jared Hood. That's Dwight Garfield.
Peace out.